Well, it was such a beautiful day, I decided to work outside this morning. Um, Hopefully we won't get disturbed by jets, but I can guarantee you there will be some jets flying over coming out of SeaTac Airport because it's a beautiful day. They're taking off to the north, and that's just something I have to deal with. But it's too beautiful to be inside today, so we're working out here. Um, These are the pieces that we've been working on in this pinch pot series, and I decided I wanted to apply some Terra Sigilatta to these pieces. I am firing them at cone 6 electric. That was always the intention, and we'll follow through with that. But the nature of these pieces, being that they are a white stoneware, in an electric kiln, white stoneware to me tends to be a bit cold. These pieces should not be cold. They should have a warmth to them. They have a natural quality about them, and I want them to be warm and inviting, not cold and standoffish. So by creating a darker surface, it's going to add that warmth to the piece. Now I could just put a dark glaze on it, but a glaze is just going to cover up all this nice texture that I've gone to all the effort to achieve. So the Terra Sigilatta is the answer. And Terra Sigilatta is, what it means is sealed earth, and it was the precursor to glaze before they figured out that they could melt glass and create a vitrified surface. They were looking for ways to to carry water from the river up to the village without losing half of it through seepage. So they began sealing the interiors with the clay from the river beds, and that's how they discovered Terra Sigilatta, which is the finest particles that are attainable in a suspension. So my intention this morning was to make some red art Terra Sigilatta, and looked all through my studio and could not find any red art. I could have sworn I had a bag of red art, but I couldn't find it, so I went to plan B. The plan B was, since I already had some OM4 ball clay Terra Sigilatta made up, I just added some iron to it. Now there's lots of different types of irons and different contents and such. I used 98% iron in this, assuming that the stronger the iron, the less I was able to use to darken the piece, the better off I would be, because iron is going to be heavy and it's going to be larger particle size, which would impede the glossiness and fall out of suspension quicker. So I think that was a good choice. I was glad that I had it available, and there was nothing scientific to it. I just took the this brush, actually, when it was dry, and used that to try to get the finest particles of iron into a small container. I just used a little Dixie cup, filled it up, and then just added some iron. I just eyeballed it. There was no percentage worked out, nothing scientific, just pinch of this, pinch of that type of deal. Okay, then I put it into a little plastic bottle and shook it up real well, and it seems to have worked pretty good. I'm pleased with it so far. So I have this one last piece, and we'll go ahead and apply some Terra Sig to that, and I'll show you how it goes. Now I'm using two different brushes. I have a Hakame brush. They both, and a Sumi brush. Both of these brushes have goat hair. It's very soft and inexpensive, and they work well. You want to make sure when you're applying Terra Sig, you have a very clean brush and use a lot of water to clean it, and make sure that there are not hairs just falling out, because hairs stuck on your Terra Sig are going to cause marks that you're not going to want. So since I'm just doing the exterior with the Terra Sig, I do plan to glaze the interior of the pot. That will make it easily cleaned and very functional piece. Okay? Here we go, just a little bit. And because we're working with iron today, I've covered up my canvas with a little piece of cardboard. I didn't want to stain my workspace with iron, which would then contaminate my next piece. Once you get iron in your canvas, it's there for good. You can see that this is drying really quickly, right? That's because we are working on bone dry greenware. It's going to be very absorbent. And I'm going to go ahead and put, 3 coats on here. 3. You could do 6 coats. I'm just trying to apply some color to the piece. I'm not trying to hide anything. I want to accentuate what's going on the surface. If you have a space, you can see there's that little crack, and when I was forming this piece, I pushed through a little bit, so it's a bit thin there. So that's why it's staying wet in that space, because I've already saturated that piece of clay, that area. I think I'll get around here one more time and we'll call it good. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this brush either, because I don't want to pull what I put on there. Don't want to pull it off. I should have used more cardboard. Okay. All right. Now, while this is drying, I'm going to work on the foot. I'll use this brush here. Make sure I get in there. Right. Now while that's drying, I'm still waiting for this this area to dry here. If I work on that, if I start polishing that, it will disturb that surface, and I'm not intending to do. There's a little bit of darkness still, indicating that there's still some moisture, but I'm okay with that. I think it's in the realm of working without disturbing. It's just this area, and of course this wet foot area that I'm concerned about. So if I start here and work my way around, maybe it'll be dry by the time I get there. So I'm going to use my piece of plastic, and I'm just going to, I'll show you this real quick before I start working on it. You can see that the surface is pretty matte, right? So I'm going to, let's see, start here and work my way around. I'll work this way. And I'm just going to rub little circular motions. You can rub up and down, whatever works for you. You can see that it's already glossing up, all right? This is not a lot of pressure. I'm using very little pressure, and what's happening is all of those little fine particles of clay are being pressed down, laid flat. When they lay flat, they become reflective. This piece, as opposed to like these two, maybe I go with a little bit glossier surface. So I'll spend a little bit more time. And that's what it takes, is time. And just being careful. This is greenware. You can crack things easily. Try not to do that. The nice thing is that now you can see the texture starting to show up, because the high spots are getting more of the gloss, while the low spots we're not making so much contact with. So the texture is beginning to show up. And we're just about made it around the piece. There's the area I was concerned with, not drying. But it's in good shape now. Okay, we've made our way around. Perhaps not gotten everything as we should, but at least we've gotten around a piece. We'll work on that foot. And people do this without the plastic and just use their fingers. If I haven't mentioned that already. My fingers are a bit rough, and I can scratch the surface of the Terra Sig, and it's not appealing to me. So I still have that rim to work with. And if I scratch through anything, I can just apply a little bit more Terra Sig. Just work my way around using the side of the brush, just following the contour of the lip. Alright, I'll allow that to dry, clean it up with the plastic, polish it up just a little bit, it'll be in good shape. And so that is applying the Terra Sigilatta. Very simple, and it's actually quite a bit of fun. So I hope you get a chance to do something like that. Have a great day.